I'm Janet Hart. I am a district manager for Starbucks, but today's not necessarily about Starbucks, it's about coffee. From the beginning of coffee till it's here in this cup, about how many hands do you think touch that coffee? How many points of contact are there? We figured it's roughly about 36 pairs of hands touch that coffee from the beginning to the end. Now, that's a rough number, but it's about 36 points, if you think about it, where that coffee can go wrong. Here's the supply chain. Where does it start? Any guess? The grower. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Farming and growing. So that farmer has to decide what kind of beans to grow, has to decide what elevation to grow it at, has to look at the soil, has to look at the water, has to look at the time of year to plant it. He's cared for it, he's groomed it, it's like his baby. He's named that tree for 4 years, he's taken care of it, he's watched that soil, he's watched how much water, he's fertilized. They get those cherries, they pick those cherries, they harvest those cherries, they send them to the mill, they get processed, they get fermented, they get dried out, they get sorted bean by bean, they get put into bags, they get shipped to this country, they get roasted, they get aged, they get blended, they're in a bag, they get shipped that bag to our store over here, let's say, or to whatever business you are in, to your hotel, to your restaurant. That bag gets here, and we put too much coffee in or too much water in, we've screwed up that cup of coffee. Grind. This bag was ground for brewing it in an espresso machine, which is what I did to make this coffee. If I ground it too fine, what happens is if you have coffee grounds that are too fine, like almost like sand, and you pour water on it, what happens? You can't get through, right? So it sort of sits there, and eventually by the time that water gets through, that coffee's going to be too strong, or it's going to be too bitter because it's going to be burnt. If it's too coarse, like rocks, what happens to the water?
Just goes straight through.
Goes straight through. What's going to happen to that coffee? Some coffees are blended together first before they're roasted. Some are roasted and then put together. That's that art and science. It's fascinating. So